Hi, and welcome to the Tea with Intuitives podcast. I'm Melly, an Akashic reader, past life psychic, and channeling coach.
And I'm Brittany, an esoteric healer, authentic empowerment coach, and Akashic record reader. Each episode, we answer one of your questions about spirituality, Akashic records, energy healing, spirit guides, and the unseen world.
So we invite you to grab your cup of tea while we answer today's questions from Stephanie Stindl and Gachette on Instagram. What happens after you recite the Linda Howe prayer, and how long does an Akashic reading last? How many sessions are necessary? But before we dive into this subject, I just want to say that if you sent us questions a while ago, like way back, we're still answering questions from August. So please don't despair. We're on a list and we will get to your question.
Yep, we're going through them. We have a lot of good questions that we want to catch up on before we ask for more. And we also wanted to clarify, we love all of your questions and all of the topics. It's so fun to explore, but you may notice Melly and I hold back some of our most unique techniques and tips and tricks with this kind of work, simply because we want to honor the sacred space that we set up for our paying clients, and that personalized one-on-one time with our clients is so important. So if you're thinking you want to take your spiritual practice deeper, any of the things we talk about, you're welcome to book a reading or a coaching session with us, and we'll be happy to dive in deeper.
Absolutely. So I'm offering channeling coaching and a channeling course. The course is just in French right now, but it's going to be in English next year. So if you want to hop on the waiting list, that's possible. And Brittany is also giving authentic empowerment coaching. So there you go. Yeah, but a very important subject, Brittany. What are you drinking today?
Today I have a rose hip tea. I've been very obsessed with rose lately. Obsessed is a great word for it. So my fiance hates it because rose oil, rose bath scented things, rose pillows, like rose anything is my go-to, and he's super not into it.
Oh, Brittany, I want to cry right now. Because I was just going to say the exact same thing, and we have seen each other lately, but we haven't mentioned this. So I'm all about rose right now.
Yeah.
This morning, well, every morning I have essential oil, rose essential oil in the how do you call it?
The diffuser.
The diffuser, same word as in French, too easy. And I am drinking a London Fog, how do they call it? Rose London Fog blend. Here you go. I'm here. If you're on YouTube, you can watch what it looks like. So
you foamed your milk.
It's a latte. Actually, I don't want to do an ad for a company here, but it's a company that sells this blend. It's a powder, but everything is organic and natural, and it has the bergamot decaffeinated tea in it, but they're all selling it, all their different flavors, they're selling it for lattes, but you can also just put a little bit of it in your coffee if you want to. So yeah, I'm obsessed with it too.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it is about our guides or spirits just saying that we need a lot of rose energy. But comment on the podcast, comment on YouTube channel, wherever you're listening, if you've been into rose lately too.
Yeah, maybe it's an October thing right now.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
So, Melly, let's dive into our question today. Okay, how long does an Akashic record reading last? What happens after you recite the Linda Howe prayer? And how many sessions are necessary?
Yeah. So people who don't know who Linda Howe is, she is a woman who started getting into Akashic Records. She lives in the US, and she was just feeling that she learned a prayer from one of her mentors, and she was feeling that that prayer wasn't aligning with her that much. And then when 9/11 hit, she kind of while it hit, she didn't know it was happening, but it was while the planes were going into the towers. She got that download of the pathway prayer, and it's a prayer that you recite to access and open your Akashic records, or when I give Akashic readings, I recite the pathway prayer. It is believed that with the vibrations of these words, you access higher realms, the eighth dimension, and you get in touch with the masters, teachers, and loved ones. And so what happens during the reciting the pathway prayer is that you start shifting your energy. And for me, it's more of a ceremony than anything, because I was already psychic when I did my training, and I trained at the Linda Howe, I think she calls it training center or learning center. I trained with her method. And for me, it's a ceremony where you shift your energy and you ask the spirit guides to make sure that you are centered on the task at hand, and that you leave your ego aside, and then you concentrate on the person and connecting with the person. And through reciting that prayer, it becomes very powerful. You really start feeling the energies, and then you say, the records are now open, and boom, you just feel the energy. Take a look what is going on. It depends on what clair you have most. If you're most clairvoyant, if you have clairaudience, clair-knowing, clair-sentience. And so I work with the four clairs, and then I see what's going on. And so the question that we have is, what happens after we recite the pathway prayer? So we're already attuned to the person's energy, and we're already connected to her spirit guides, masters, teachers, loved ones, angels, archangels. We're connected to all types of guides and the elevated spirit guides. And what happens is different every time. I don't know, Brittany, do you want to share about this?
Sure. So your experience opening the records is going to be different from anyone else's because it's so personal. My first reading I ever got in 2018, the woman used Linda Howe's prayer. And then when I started learning how to read the Akashic Records from Dr. Linda Howe's book, I was using her prayer. But I have a secret. And the secret is, and if only one person in the whole world knows this, by the way, and it's one of the most recent readings I gave, and I used my own prayer.
Oh, wow.
So I have officially, after 2.5 years of using the pathway prayer process, which is Dr. Linda Howe's prayer, it is so powerful. It's perfect. It's the best prayer that I've found. But after 2.5 years of using it, I started my own prayer, because we're all different. Mm-hmm. And if you start to read for people from all over, you either take what you feel resonates with you from your ceremony, like Melly said, it's ceremonial. You do what resonates with you as you learn, and grow through the process. So I've started using my own prayer. I have not put it out for people to use or to read yet, because it's something still really personal for me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the most important thing behind any prayer you use or any ceremony to go into the records would be your intention behind the words that you're saying and where your heart is going. Yeah.
I have to stop you there. I want to know, was it channeled? Was it a download? Or did you really think about it and sat down and did automatic writing? How did it go?
Great question. So for a long time, probably about a year, I kept feeling like I needed my own more personalized introduction to someone's records. Something that felt more energetically aligned with me. And I just waited. I've known for a year that the prayer would come, and I didn't force it. And I know that we have two timelines. We have the soul timeline and the contracts, and we have the 3D ego time. So, Brittany, I wanted to really force it, and I really wanted the prayer. But the other part of me was like, you're not ready. You're not ready for that kind of independence. So I waited. If there's friction, if there's conflicting thoughts or if there's friction, it might be a great sign to just be patient and the answers are going to come. So I was feeling a lot of friction last year, and I took a pause and said, okay, the prayer will come when it's supposed to come. Right before I sat down to give a reading, I was connecting to my soul and to source, creating the space. And I wrote the prayer right then and there because it was time. And I guess you could say it was downloaded, but it wasn't directly from the records. It was just, my guess is maybe while I was sleeping, there was some kind of subconscious download of that prayer. And it was there until I was ready to have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, right before I was supposed to have a client reading, the prayer came and I used it, and it was great.
Wow, wonderful. Yay. Okay, so I feel we still haven't fully answered the question yet, because the person wants to know what happens once we open the Akashic Records. And as you said, Brittany, it's different for everyone. And when you give reading to others, it's different every time. So I've mentioned before that oftentimes I get a group of spirit guides that are there. But when I open the Akashic Records, like, my guides know that the first thing I do is that I feel the Akashic Records and I see what comes up. And I really give the space for what needs to come up. And oftentimes it's what I call an entry message or a theme for the reading. And oftentimes I get a spirit animal or a spirit guide, a more specific one that will be there to share the message. And sometimes it's really like there's a symbolic and I don't know what's going on, but I'm just there to share with the person what's going on. So lately it was like, you're at the bottom of a river, but it's very peaceful, and it's all about letting the flow of life pass through you, and be patient, and really go within yourself. But it's kind of weird as a message with that image, and the person wasn't sure what to make of it yet. So yeah, and after that, I asked the questions that my clients give me, and yeah, as I said, I get the answers from all different clairs, and there are different types of spirit guides with different personalities. So one can be serious, one can be super funny. I just never know.
Yeah, it's so fun. You honestly never know what you're going to see or feel. I
Yeah.
like how you're greeted by a guide at first. For me, I feel like right when I say the records are open, it almost feels like a water balloon has popped, or
Mm.
like you've penetrated a bubble, and all of a sudden you're in this bubble. And personality is still there, but it does take a back seat to the information that's coming through. For me, it's a lot of different things. It's just allowing what wants to come through that bubble to come through. And I just realized there's two different kind of ways to give a reading. And I had learned this through giving readings myself, but then it was kind of put out more laid out in front of me that the one kind of way to access the information is if the information's kind of swirling around you and you grasp onto it. The second way is the information is like in you, and it's directly coming in and through you. So I would just pay more attention to what it feels like also right when you open. Does the information feel like it's swirling around you and you're seeing it and touching it and reading it or hearing it? Or does it feel like it's coming in and through you and expressing through your voice, because sometimes I don't see and I don't feel. The information comes when I express the information through my voice, which can be very hard because you don't know what you're going to say. And I think,
Yes.
Melly, you can relate to this because you don't know if you're truly channeling and you're connected and you're using your voice as a tool, you don't know what's going to come out of your mouth.
Yes. Yes. It's
It's a
something that I
huge,
teach in the course. It's you have to
yeah.
completely let go.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm trying to explain something or I'm not sure. And the spirit guides say, just start talking. We've
Yeah.
got this. And I'm like, okay. And I had a really long phase that spirit guides would just ask me to pop into me. I don't know what to say it.
Yes,
Just,
that's a good
I'm
point.
going
Yep.
to, like, I'm not possessed or anything,
Yep.
but they are asking to be there inside of me, and it's really them talking. So my energy really shifts, and it's the way they want to explain things. So they're kind of taking over, and they're letting me the space to say, okay, so this spirit guide is coming, and he's elevated, very ceremonious, or he's very fun, and it's just a green bubble of light. It depends. And then he has a message, so I'm going to let him in. Mm-hmm. And then boom, I start talking. So letting go is so important when you are channeling, when you are in the records.
Yeah, it is a big test of faith.
Yeah.
That was probably the hardest thing for me to, and I'm still overcoming it. It's the ego. It's the, I don't want to mess up. I don't want to like be too far in my ego during a reading that whoever's guide is stepping forward won't be able to come in. So the difference is a little bit, are they giving you information to share in your own way? Or have they fully stepped into your aura? Have they fully stepped into your energy and they are like, the information's coming through you and out of you. So a lot of life guides I find sort of stand in the background and they talk through me, but a lot of ascended masters genuinely just so gently and authentically they ask permission. This isn't, they don't just pop in, but they will ask permission and I allow them into my aura, into my energy, just like Melly said, so that they can talk directly. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And I see it also as a dance when I channel, because there are channelers that are super strict, saying your ego, your personality is completely out of the way and you don't intervene. And I'm not like that. When I get a message, I'm in the background and I give the message. But then as soon as it stops, I'm like, wait, this wasn't very specific. This person is going to wonder X and Y, because I give live, but I also give offline readings. And so I anticipate like the person going, well, I need more details. Well, what do you mean? And so I step in and I'm like, can you please be specific? Or can you please send me a word or an image that I can go on? And then spirit guides are really there to collaborate with us. So I like to make it like a dance where it's not me, but then wait, I need to say something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So if you're opening your own records, what are you feeling? What are you seeing? What is around your energy and what wants to come into your energy? But yeah, have fun with it.
Trust and let go. Those are the words. Trust and let go.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. So, Brittany, do you want to answer how long does an Akashic reading last?
I keep forgetting there's like 3 questions.
Yeah.
So I used to give 90-minute readings. I don't anymore because my third eye feels like it's frying. Like my pineal gland is being toasted or something. It's too much. It's too intense. So I only give 60-minute readings, and that for me is the perfect amount of time, in my opinion. And how many sessions are necessary? That question can only be answered individually, in my opinion. Only you will know the answer to that.
Right, right. So for me, my live readings are 60 minutes. And I feel that I've tried doing live readings of 45 minutes. And I find that when we meet face to face, we really need some time to say hi, to feel each other's energy, to leave space, to maybe new questions because you want to piggyback on something the guides just mentioned. So live it's 60 minutes, but I do offer offlines one that are 30 or 45 minutes. And it depends on your number of questions. So 30 minutes is for 2 or 3 questions max. But I do want to say regarding 90 minutes reading that I just had my 3rd psychic reading with Ainsley MacLeod, and he has over 20 years of experience, and he does 90 minutes readings, but I know he doesn't do many one-on-one work. The waiting list is long to have a session with him. And it's expensive too, because, you know, he's got so much experience. He went on Oprah, he went on Ellen, like he's well known. Mm-hmm. So I feel like he's really doing it because he loves it, but he doesn't take a lot. I think he does 1 per day, maybe, you know, a few times a week. And he does 90 minutes, and I'm so impressed.
Oh, trust me, we can do 90-minute readings.
We can.
Do you want to do a 90-minute reading? I'm sure Ainsley MacLeod really wants to do a 90-minute reading if he's only doing 2 readings a week.
Yeah. And also we have to say that we have other jobs. I'm a professional translator and proofreader, and I still work in that field. And you also have other jobs. So maybe once we drop these in the future, we'll offer more and we'll be able to take on more. And regarding the number of sessions, yeah, Brittany is right. It really depends on the person. I believe that if you want to touch on different subjects, you can have readings every month. The only tricky part, and I tested this myself, getting readings, because I love getting readings from other people, like Brittany give me readings. It's kind of a luxury for me because I'm not channeling. I find that you can have multiple readings on different subjects, different themes, but will you get enough time to process everything? Will you feel overwhelmed? Also, if you want to ask the same question, you have a reading and then 2 months later you want to ask the same question. Do you really need to ask the same question? Did you receive the message, process it? Did you do exercises if the guides gave you exercises? Because I've had some people who were obsessed with a certain domain of their life, and oftentimes it's romantic life. And they just hang on to the answer they want to receive, but that's not the answer they need to receive. And so they come to me and it's unclear that it's for the same question. And then boom, we're during the reading and it's for the exact same question. And I'm getting the exact same answers because they weren't ready yet to work on themselves. So have you done the work you need to do? And that will answer your question to, are you really ready for another reading?
Yeah. If you're asking the same question over and over again, oh, that's tricky. I have experienced that as well with clients, and it can be really hard when people just feel they're not being seen, or they feel confused, or life is not making sense. But yeah, if you're asking the same question over and over, you may have to give yourself more time.
Yeah. And I would say don't go and pay for readings with the same question over and again, but you can always ask your spirit guides yourself and see what happens. Because my Akashic reading teacher, when she started, she would ask the same question over and over again because she was having really bad eczema problems. And she was a massage therapist. So that was really hard for her. She needed to wear gloves. And she was like, I need the answer to this. I want to know why I'm having this issue. And I'm going to ask the question every week to the spirit guides until I really get to the bottom of this. And sometimes it's like Brittany explains to me when I get esoteric healing from her, is that it's kind layers and layers of stuff that you need to reflect on and work on. And so I would say try to really have that relationship with your guides, but don't go and book many Akashic readings or psychic readings with different people thinking that you will hear the answer that you want to hear. I don't think that is sound.
Yeah, beautifully said. And also what I said in the beginning of this episode, which was there is the ego timeline and there is the soul timeline. And does the ego need to know the answer to that question?
Mm-hmm.
Or does the soul really want you to know the answer to that question? Because the ego can be very pushy and impatient. So if we're working with pushy and impatient energy and we really need to know answers, my guess would be the personality is taking charge over that aspect of life. And some deeper work can be done there of exactly Melly's words earlier, letting go of control and having fun and just being adventurous in the outcome. We don't have to know everything. Just because we have access to the records does not mean we need or have to know everything.
Thank you for listening to the Tea with Intuitives podcast.
If you have a question for us, you can send it to teawithintuitives@gmail.com or Instagram or YouTube.
Your love for this podcast helps us grow and reach more like-minded souls, so don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast.
Have a beautiful week.